What time is it? It's Packard Folks at time. Hat? Check. Shirt? Check. Pants? Optional. Mug? Double check. Check us out at cafepress.com/PackardPokesat where you can get all this great merchandise and more.
Do you like Packard Pokesat and want to hear it on demand and on the go? Download the free app today at Stitcher.com. Available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad.
This is Packard Pokesat, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokesat. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining me tonight from the far East Coast is the Atheist Ranger.
Hey, guys.
And joining me from the ill, that is Illinois, is Matt, Not a Believer 71.
Hello, everyone.
And tonight we have our Okay, Let's Talk segment. And since we had a 5-week month, this is coming a little late in the month for us, actually. We have a very interesting topic. Kind of, well, it depends on your definition of interesting, I suppose. We've had so many end of the world predictions, and there's another one. It's the end of the world. Again, did you miss your date with the apocalypse? I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a new prediction out for the end of the world. And it says, according to this viral thread, which is actually the name of the webpage, it says, the Bible says the world is going to end on June 24th, 2018. Okay, let's talk. We've covered topics like this before. And one of the bigger ones, not the one where in 2012, where the end of the world was supposed to happen because the Mayans said so, or because their calendar reset. And most people didn't realize that when the calendar resets, it just resets. It's like, you get a calendar from the store, and at the end of the year, it goes, the world's not going to end because you ran out of calendar. Okay. That's all that happened back in 2012. Another big one, this was even worse, I think, because if you're familiar with Harold Camping, who passed away a number of years ago, he put out this big prediction that the world was going to end, and people were saying save the date and shit like that, and people would buy billboards, spend all their money on getting people to believe. A couple of years ago, I saw a car coming through town here actually had that save the date on there, like the bumper sticker or on the side of the car and all this other happy horse shit. And I couldn't help but laugh. And like, people would believe some weird shit. Anyway, like I said, there's this newer one where the Bible is saying that the world is going to end on June 24th. According to this, it says, predicted by some psychics on some local news, the doomsday source material is the Bible, of course, and throughout the whole of Scripture has been studied meticulously for centuries. Now, one man has discovered it, that it states the world's going to end on June 24th. I guess no 4th of July for anybody. So,
I guess it's my birthday, too.
Is that your birthday?
Well, July.
It's your birthday's in July. Okay.
Those my brothers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, hey, at least you'll have his birthday before the end of the world. Think about with these end of the world predictions, they never say at what time. Is it just like a light switch and the world's just going to go away? Or is it like what Camping was saying? It's going to go at 10 o'clock. What time at 10 o'clock? Eastern? Because it's 10 o'clock somewhere on the planet because, we be spinning through space and, that's everywhere. The time zones are different. That's how things work.
That is true.
Yes.
Well, it's like January 1st, 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was worried about the computers not working.
Yeah.
Because it was the new millennium and everybody was scared and companies were spending a lot of money to get ready for the Y2K thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was all crazy because I remember at the time I was working in a bank and, they were all worried about, our computers aren't going to work and blah, blah, blah. Everything was fine.
Yeah. Well, actually, the issue there, it wasn't your computers that they were worried about, more or less. It was the ones and supposedly they had been testing this before we hit the double noughts. But a lot of computers back then, they didn't have a lot of memory like we have today. I mean,
right.
I have a lot of memory just in my phone. I mean, I have more memory in my phone than my first computer.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't read 00 very well.
Right.
Then. So there was concern that the missiles would mistake the year 2000 for something else and then crash the computers. And if the computers crash, supposedly all the missiles will go off all at one time. I mean, there was some relevance to it, but overall, like you said, we were fine. I mean, the biggest ones for the Y2K one was the fact is that people were going out and buying generators left and right because they thought the power grid was going to go down.
Right.
Never happened.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
You know, for me, funny story about the what I like to call the Millennium conspiracy. I was 8 years old at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it had like a snowed that weekend, and I was so disappointed that the world didn't end that I had to shovel. I'm like, God damn it, you motherfuckers! I kept telling my parents, nope, I'm not doing it. The world's not going to be here anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they knew I was joking, but I was just like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it. According to you adults, the world's not even going to be here next Monday. Next Monday rolled around, you motherfuckers.
That's like the last time we covered this topic is that they said the world was going to end and everything like that. And I was like, oh, good. Then I don't have to edit. So come on, Doomsday. So save me an editing time.
No, you're like, have you ever noticed when it comes to fundamentalist citing prophecies, they use like the most mundane, self-fulfilling prophecies that would eventually came true. Like a lot of them keep saying, well, the polar ice caps will melt. Yeah, science has already has been telling us that for 30 years. That's not something we already knew.
Right. Yeah, that's another one. There's been a lot of predictions around that where they said the new West Coast is going to be like the middle of the United States, because I remember seeing like maps that people had put up that they would show like the water going all the way from Canada and all the way down through Mexico and whatnot. I mean, someday something like that might happen, but it's not going to be like overnight.
It won't happen in our lifetime.
No, most likely not. I mean, do we have polar ice cap melting now? Yes, we have some, but the oceans have risen incrementally. I mean, it's just very, very like maybe not even half an inch or so.
Right. It's a gradual thing.
It's very gradual.
Overnight, like where you see in the movies where I don't know what was that movie when all hell broke loose.
That was the movie 2012 you're probably thinking of.
Maybe.
Well, there's been a lot of end of the world prediction movies too. So
where, pretty much hell froze over and, all the certain parts froze and other parts flooded and,
Oh, that's a wholly different movie. I forget the name of that one. I can see it in my head. It's like they have a picture of the Statue of Liberty. It's all frozen over and shit. Is that
name of the movie? But it was recent, like probably within the last 6-7 years.
Yeah, that would fall into that. I wish I could remember the name of the movie. It was really.
Oh wait, you guys talking about I think it was called The Day After Tomorrow.
That's it. The Day After Tomorrow.
I
remember that.
Yeah.
That I think the opening scene for me that was like scary because I think the helicopter pilots got out and they like instantly froze.
Oh, that would not happen. I saw a science show on this. They were talking about what kind of weather would have to take to do that, and basically what they've said is that would not happen. Even if you were exposed to the vacuum of space, you would not instantaneously freeze. Your body creates heat. So, we go down to like the South Pole and whatnot, and that area is really cold. Mm-hmm. And there is a definite chance of exposure. You get frostbite within minutes, but your body wouldn't freeze instantly. That's just not a thing.
Well,
that was scary to watch though.
Well, that's why it's called a movie.
Yeah.
Down in the South Pole, in the summertime here, our summers, there it's winter and they have no sunlight. So it's like 100 below zero out for like 3 months. And that's cold. I wouldn't want to be in a situation like that.
Now, I want to get back to our Bible prediction for this year. Now, this Bible theory comes from a conspiracy theorist, obviously, Matthew John Mark Joseph Rodriguez. The guy has got like 5 names. He must be important. He's got 5 names. Now, apparently, he's been doing some finagling with the passages, the book of Revelations, which is possibly the weirdest drug-fueled book in the Bible. I mean, when I was religious, we would say, oh, the rest of the book is not open to interpretation, just Revelations. I talk to a lot of Christians like that still believe that kind of crap. But the fact is that they think that anything in the book of Revelations is worth anything is just way the fuck out there. What he believes that it is significant following. He says he is given authority to act for 42 months. Supposedly, if you add the number and the passages to crop the harvest and price, it gives the date of our last stay on Earth and carry the one and add in, I don't know, grain, I guess. I don't know. So the fact is that these people think that they can take the numbers in the Bible, add them up or subtract them in certain ways, then that creates the next Armageddon, you know. Will the end of the world ever actually happen? Yes, the world will eventually end. I mean, either we will blow ourselves up or the sun will expand in about 4.5-5 billion years and gobble us up, and then then the world will be ended at that time. But until then, there's no God going to come back and take everybody away, because they still haven't even proven their God is even real.
Yeah, I was looking at the one of the articles you put in this chat there before the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was staring at one of them. I think it was like in 2633 or something like that. Baba Yaga, whatever her name is.
Oh yeah, that one.
And I came across one of them. She said that they quote, the secrets of the moon will be revealed.
It's made of green cheese, right?
Yeah. Now, Packard and Matt, is the moon a conscious entity to where it could have secrets? Because if it is, I didn't get the memo.
Well, all right. I'm going to put this in the most vaguest terms. Can the moon hold secrets? Yes. Because the fact is, we've only been up there a couple times. We haven't gotten dug into it and, tore it apart and found things in there yet. There could be stuff up there that we just haven't discovered yet. The same could be said here on Earth. There are animals that are being discovered once a week or something, So even this planet has secrets it hasn't revealed to us yet. So that could be said about literally anything.
Oh yeah, I was reading just the other day. I think 95% of Earth's ocean has yet to be explored.
Exactly. I mean, I gotta tell you, if you've been following the show for any amount of time, I recently moved and I discovered secrets in my own closet that I had forgotten about. So they were there. They were just waiting to be found again, So
was it the skeletons in your closet?
Well, I did have to move Jimmy Hoffa a few times, but
that's where he's buried. I knew it.
He's in my closet this whole time. No, I mean, these things are real bare bones, blatant predictions. I mean, we're going to go along talking about the Varga Vega here for just a moment. Now, she made some predictions a number of years before she died, and people are looking at her like the way they used to look at Nostradamus, because Nostradamus made a lot of vague predictions and none of them ever came true. The only way they ever tried to make them come true is by saying, oh, look at what happened, what he said, and this fit that narrative. That's not how a prediction works. Okay, if I'm going to make a prediction, I say this horse is going to win this race on this day at this time, or this horse is going to fall out of the race or whatever for this reason, that's a specific. That would be, say, okay, maybe we might have something there. We'd have to explore that. But because they give these vague predictions, oh, the earth is going to warm up. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We kind of figured that one out, Or going to this other one here where this Vega person had said from 2033 to 2045, the polar ice caps will melt. Oh, that's already happening. So you're way to fuck off.
I mean, if she had said that, 300 years ago, that'd be a completely different story.
Yeah, exactly. Then there was also rise of cloning allows doctors to cure any disease.
No, I don't think that's how cloning works.
Yeah, cloning doesn't work that way. Cloning, that's the whole idea behind cloning. I mean, if you make a clone or a copy of something, then that's just another copy of the thing. So, I mean, you're not really going to have it disease-free at that point, I don't think. I'm not a clonologist, I guess. I don't know. So I really couldn't say for sure, but I mean...
Hey, I wish I could clone myself and then send my clone to work and I wouldn't have to work.
Then your clone would want their own clone to send them to work. No, wait a second. That's multiplicity. That's a whole different movie. Yeah. Some other ones here that apparently they think she thought that there was going to be a new golden age. We're going to find a new energy source. I don't know, on Venus. Now, apparently we are sending a probe out going towards Venus, which was pushed back a little bit because it's going to go out towards the sun, right next to it almost, being close to the sun. And that date was pushed back. So is that going to happen? Most likely not, because we know quite a bit. Like I said, we know quite a bit about these planets and the moons and whatnot. Are there things that could be discovered? Yes, but we're not going to be landing on Venus anytime soon because it is a very inhospitable place. I mean, we have landed probes on there and they pretty much last about the time span of a gnat because the temperature and and the heat and the conditions there are just so inhospitable that if I were to take let's just say a bar of lead and just throw it into the planet surface, and even if it landed, it would be melted within moments because it is so freaking hot there. So we're not going to be digging around on Venus for a new golden age of energy or some bullshit there.
Sounds like my kind of planet.
While we are poking at your news, you can poke us at Facebook and Twitter, or poke us with an email at ppapodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a message at 662-709-PPAP. Enjoy the show? Help support us at patreon.com/PackardPokesat, or look awesome by buying something at cafepress.com/PackardPokesat. No money, no problem. You can help us by sharing the show with friends and rate us on iTunes and Stitcher. For everyone that shares and rates us, you kick ass.
The Atheists,
The Bible.
and No Wardrobe, the podcast.
Wait a minute. No wardrobe? You mean we're going to be naked while we do this?
Well, seeing how I'm an atheist and I'm reading the Bible, and since clothes are flammable,
Fire! Fire! Fire!
I thought it might be a good idea to take them all off first.
Naked or not, follow along as we read, analyze, and try to keep you from falling asleep as we go through this boring-ass book.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker. Who knows? We may even be on YouTube someday. I've seen predictions of stuff where if we were to go to Venus or whatever, we would actually have to like live in the clouds around it, like in Star Wars, for example. Yeah, have you ever seen the movie Star Wars? Was it Return of the Jedi?
One of the episodes.
One of the episodes of the movie where they're on the cloud planet, the whatever. Empire Strikes Back. It was there in my brain there. The planet where they're like Cloud City and shit like that. Something like that may be possible someday. But right now it's not feasible. It's just not possible at our current technology. And I don't think we're going to be ready for that for, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 years or so. So I certainly won't see them orbiting Venus anytime soon with people on board looking for energy. I don't know.
And probably neither will I.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us will see that in our lifetimes.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's another thing about these kind of predictions is because they are so far down the road that there's no way to say, yeah, well, you predicted wrong. And what are you supposed to say to the person that's dead? Hey, your prediction came wrong. Oh, they don't care because they're dead.
Well, yeah, that's the big problem here because, not all the people who made these predictions, but a good number of people who have made these predictions aren't even alive on Earth anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the most arrogant ones are the ones that think that these, apocalypse are going to be in their lifetime. To me, that's just plain arrogance because you actually think you're that special.
Yeah. These people, I think, in my opinion, they are trying to preserve their place in history, even if it's brief. I mean, or whatever. They're trying to say, hey, I made these predictions and people are going to talk about me and mention my name for millennia to come. And we're going to go, hey, this person was right or they were wrong or whatever. But as long as they're mentioning my name, I'm not forgotten.
Well, exactly. And with this recent thing, I've heard about it on the news a lot lately. And it's like, God, this is getting more exposure than anything else.
Yeah, I find really incredibly funny about this is that a lot of religious people, they love to talk about it's the end of the world, God's coming back, right? And of course, then if you get some Republicans like the one that was over in Minnesota, what's her name?
Palin?
No, Palin was from Alaska. What's the I forget the woman's name. She looks like she's a deer in headlights. I forget her name. Anyway, she would talk about how the Democrats are bringing about the end of the world and we got to stop that. I'm like, I thought you Christians want the end of the world. You guys like masturbate over the whole thing. Like, oh, the end of the world's coming. Oh yeah, Jesus is going to clean them up. And then in the same breath, they make it political and say, well, we don't want that to happen. I could never figure them out. Do they want it to happen or they don't want it to happen?
And some of these prophecies, they keep claiming, well, people are just gonna leave the faith. Yeah, that's what happens with every religion in history. It eventually died out. as will Christianity and eventually Islam.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably take a few more millennia before these religions go away. I'm hoping. I would love to see these religions just die out in my lifetime. I won't see it in my lifetime, unfortunately. But that's just the nature of these things. But
yeah, neither will I, and I'm only 27.
We can all see that happen in our lifetime. That religions, all these religions will still be around.
Well, there are some religions that have passed away even before we were around. Any of us were around. There was this one religious cult, and I always call all religions cults, and that's how they started out. And the differences between religion and a cult is better parking.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, there was one that was a number of years ago. It was back in the early 1800s, where it was like a Quaker cult, where they were only allowed to recruit, but if you got married, you weren't allowed to have sex, and you basically had to deal with those numbers. You brought people in, there was no repopulating your genome, and that cult died out because you told me I can't have sex, and well, fuck you.
Well, but also, you got these religions that come in that do that, but then the cult member is the one that's having the sex with all the kids and whatnot,
Yeah, that was like the David Koresh cult.
Yeah.
That happened down in Waco, Texas. There was
I call it Waco, Texas.
Yeah, I know I was going to mention that. The fact is that there was some stories about him having sex with some of the children there, and that's why the ATF and the authorities got involved. Actually, just the authorities started to get involved first, and then everything kind of escalated and went way the hell out of our board because they thought they were in the right. Another one was a number of years ago. There was the one that, if you guys remember the Hale-Bopp comet that came through. I mean, well, Tony, you probably are too young for that. But when that came through, there was this one cult out in California, Heaven Gates cult. They predicted the end of their own version of the prediction of the end of the world. So they all killed themselves to get to a spaceship that was hiding behind the comet. So they thought anyway. And they died in a mansion wearing tennis shoes and sneakers and shit like that. And those people are not coming back from it because that just was stupid.
Was that the one where they drank the Kool-Aid?
Well, that was one of them.
That was Jonestown. Yeah. They did drink their own version of the Kool-Aid, but that's kind of where the drinking the Kool-Aid statement comes from, from actually Jonestown. Jonestown was a whole different situation there. That one wasn't predicting the end of the world. They're just idiots, basically. So,
as all of them are.
Yeah. Well,
wait. Are you guys talking about the Heaven's Gate cult?
Yeah, that's one I was just mentioning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these people, they may put out these large predictions about stuff that is just not going to happen. I do want to mention a couple other things here real quick here. One was made by Gene Dixon. Now, since 2020 is coming up, and that's the closest one that's on this board here, other than the one we supposedly have in June 24th here. So on June 24th, I'm going to sit home or be at work, I guess. I don't know. It depends on what time of the day it is, I guess. And I'm just gonna, if I'm home, I'm just gonna sit back and play something on my game machine, or I'm gonna be watching TV or something. And at the end of the world comes, I'll be doing what I like.
I may have to check my calendar, but I'm pretty sure I have a dentist appointment that day.
What a fucking bad day to have the end of the world. End of the world coming up. Gotta go to the dentist. Oh. Life is just miserable all over.
Hey, but I mean, on the plus side, if the apocalypse does happen, I'm going into the apocalypse with shiny teeth.
Actually, June 24th is a Sunday.
Oh, is it a Sunday? Well, then I will be home at least the better part of the day, probably watching TV.
How ironic is that, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Next one that's coming up here was predicted by Gene Dixon. I'm not even sure she's even still alive. Now, this is American Psychic claim that Armageddon will take place in 2020, and that Jesus will return and defeat the unholy trinity of the Antichrist, Satan, and the false prophet between 2020 and 2037. Gave herself some, time room there between, those two dates. So it could happen in 2020 or somewhere in between those two places. Like I said, completely fucking vague. Try to nail down any of these people is like trying to nail Jello to a tree. Now, she'd also predicted the world was going to end back in February 4th of 1962. Like camping, she said X is going to happen. And, that didn't happen. So they go away quietly, and then they moved their predictions back. Harold Camping did the same thing. His end of the world thing came and went uneventfully. And eventually, he says, I made a calculation error. It's going to be a few months from now. Came and went. And he was hiding in his home, rightfully so, because he got a lot of people worked up for nothing.
Yeah, everyone will be going down to their bomb shelters.
Mm-hmm. Now, if a bomb is on the news and it says, hey, it's coming in, go to the bomb shelter. But that brings up a whole other set of preppers and whatnot.
I don't know what they call them.
They're called preppers. They prepare for the end of the world, like their little bunker is going to survive. Let's say the world.
That's the word I was using, because there a lot of people. Well, people actually have those, or some people do. I mean, they've got this underground thing, and they say, "Oh, well, what happens when this happens?" Or what?
Most of them are former veterans.
Yeah, there are a lot of cults out there that do that too. I mean, they set up bomb shelters and whatnot, and they, like I said, they're called preppers, and they go out these weird places and they hide out in whatever they've built under these shelters.
If the apocalypse would have happened, my version of a bomb shelter is a woman's vagina.
Okay.
Okay. Well, on that note,
be careful what you wish for, Tony.
Thank you.
That could be worse than the end of the world.
Well, anyway, we got to get out of here. But before we go, if you listen to the staff meeting, we had a kind of a small, well, I wouldn't say small announcement, kind of larger announcement. This is going to be the last live show we're going to have for about a month. We'll be back at the end of the month for next month, and then we'll be doing the live show because we're moving the show to a different day and time. Instead of having everybody try to race around, try to find us, because right now with my current work situation, I just do not have the time and the energy to deal with having to do the show and do my job. It's becoming very untenable for me and very dangerous as far as being able to rest in between, and I just can't do it. So if you want to hear the show, you're going to have to go to the homepage at packardpokesat.wordpress.com, download it from there, or go to any of your podcast catchers on your phone or your Play device or whatever it is. If you want to get the show in full, it'll be there. We're going to be doing the show kind of like this when we record it. I will put up a copy of the full show for patrons only. When you want to watch it, there'll be a link at patreon.com/PackardPokesat for patrons only. So you can watch the whole show and you can comment and everything like that. So it'll be closed off just for the patrons for the live show. But otherwise, if you just want to listen to the show, you can just go to iTunes and you can just download the show from there. The show will probably be out later in the week. Probably on Wednesday, best guess at this point. So this way I have a few days to edit and clean up and everything like that. And it'll be starting this next week, starting the 1st of April. So, and no, it's not an April Fool's joke. So that's just how things are. But once my work situation is resolved and I'm not working my ass off, we will be back to doing our regular live shows. I know we were doing a midweek show and that kind of got set to the side because of my work, and now this is happening because of my work. I'm hoping, again, that my work situation will change soon, within the next couple of months, and then we can come back to doing this show back on Fridays live again. Until then, it's not going in hiatus. It's just going directly to audio from here on through. And I'll probably put up a few segments from the show up on YouTube, but if you want to get the whole show, you will have to go to iTunes and download it, or Patreon only will be allowed to see the whole show right there. All right, we will see you the end of next month, which will be the end of April. So this has been Packard Pokesat with Okay, Let's Talk.
And that's a wrap.